Have you ever stood in the grocery store, staring at all those labels and packages, wondering which foods will actually keep me feeling strong and energized? You're not alone. I've been there too, aisle after aisle, trying to decode those tiny numbers and ingredients. But here's the good news. Figuring out what's good for you doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, there's a quick trick you can use to spot high protein and high fiber foods in seconds. No magnifying glass required. Now, why should we care about protein and fiber, especially as we get a little wiser? Well, let's talk about that. Protein helps keep our muscles strong, something we all want to maintain, right? It's like the building block that keeps us moving, whether we're gardening, playing with grandkids, or dancing at a family wedding. And fiber? That's our digestive system's best friend. It keeps things running smoothly, helps manage cholesterol, and even steadies our energy levels, so we don't crash halfway through the day. But here's the thing. Knowing these foods is one thing. Finding them quickly is another. That's where today's trick comes in. Today, I'll show you how to spot these powerhouse foods without squinting at labels or memorizing lists. We'll start with a simple way to use your own hand as a guide. Yes, your hand, to estimate portions and quality. Then, I'll share some of my go-to staples that make shopping a breeze. Sound good? Let's dive in. First, let's talk about protein. Now, you've probably heard that we need more protein as we age, and it's true. But how much is enough? Well, here's a little secret. Your palm can help. A serving of protein is roughly the size and thickness of your palm. For most of us, that's about 20 to 30 grams, depending on the food. But here's the real trick. Look for foods that give you at least 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. You'll find this number right on the label under protein. Take these black beans, for example. A half-cup serving has about 7 grams of protein. Pair that with a little brown rice, and you've got a meal that'll keep you full and energized. Or think about Greek yogurt. A single cup can pack up to 20 grams. Even a handful of almonds gives you a nice protein boost. The key is to aim for foods where protein is one of the first 3 ingredients. That means it's a main player, not just an afterthought. Now let's talk fiber. This one's even easier. See, fiber is listed right under total carbohydrates on the label. You want to look for foods with at least 3 to 5 grams of fiber per serving. And here's a pro tip. If the words whole grain, legume, or seeds are in the ingredient list, you're on the right track. Take this bread. The label says 3 grams of fiber per slice. Not bad, but check the ingredients. The first word is whole wheat flour. That's your green light. Compare that to white bread, where the first ingredient is enriched flour. That's code for fiber's been stripped out. So whole grains. Yes, enriched. Maybe save it for a treat. Let's put this into practice. Imagine you're at the store, and you pick up a bag of frozen veggies. Flip it over. If it has 4 grams of fiber per serving, and the ingredients are just broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, you've hit the jackpot. Same with a can of soup. Look for ones with beans or lentils listed early. Those little legumes are fiber and protein heroes. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But what about fresh foods? They don't have labels. Great point. That's where nature does the work for us. Fresh fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds are almost always fiber-rich. A medium apple with the skin, about 4 grams of fiber. A cup of spinach, roughly 4 grams too. And if it's a protein source like chicken, fish, or eggs, you already know it's doing the heavy lifting. Here's the takeaway. Start by scanning labels for those 2 numbers, protein and fiber. If they meet our 5 to 10 grams of protein or 3 to 5 grams of fiber rule, toss it in the cart. And for fresh foods, remember, if it grew in the ground or had a mother, it's probably a safe bet. Once you've got the hang of spotting these foods, the next step is learning how to pair them for meals that keep you going all day long. But we'll get into that a little later. For now, try this. Next time you're shopping, pick one new high-protein or high-fiber item to try. Maybe it's lentils instead of ground beef in your chili, or swapping white rice for quinoa. Small changes, big rewards. And remember, you've got this. Now that we've got the basics down, how to spot those protein and fiber heroes, let's talk about how to use them in a way that's both delicious and effortless. Because let's face it, even the healthiest food won't do much good if it's sitting in the back of your pantry, right? Take oatmeal, for example. On its own, it's a decent source of fiber, but toss in a handful of almonds or walnuts. Now you've got a breakfast that's packed with both fiber and protein. It's like a 1-2 punch for staying full and focused all morning. And here's the best part. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's all about pairing what you already love with a little extra goodness. Let's say you're making a salad. Romaine, tomatoes, cucumbers, great start. But to turn it into a meal that really sticks with you, add a scoop of chickpeas or a few slices of grilled chicken. Suddenly, that light side dish becomes a lunch that powers you through the afternoon. And if you're worried about things getting boring, don't. A sprinkle of cheese, a few dried cranberries, or even a spoonful of salsa can jazz it up without undoing the good stuff. Now, I want to address something I hear a lot. What if my stomach's sensitive to too much fiber? Totally valid. If you're new to loading up on beans or whole grains, your digestion might need a little time to adjust. The trick is to take it slow. Start with smaller portions, maybe a 1/4 cup of lentils in your soup instead of half, and work your way up. And don't forget to drink plenty of water. Fiber loves water. It helps it move through your system smoothly. Think of them as a team, like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Let me show you what I mean. This lentil soup has carrots, celery, and onions, all fiber-rich, but I've kept the broth nice and light. Pair it with a slice of whole grain toast, and you've got a meal that's gentle and satisfying. If you're feeling adventurous, toss in a spoonful of Greek yogurt for extra protein. It's creamy, tangy, and oh so good. Another tip, cook your veggies. Raw broccoli might be tough on some tummies, but roasted or steamed, it's like a warm hug for your insides. Same with apples, baked with a dash of cinnamon. They're easier to digest and still give you that fiber boost. The goal isn't to suffer through meals, it's to find what works for you. Let's talk about snacks, because, confession time, I'm a snacker. Always have been. But instead of reaching for chips or cookies, I keep a few go-tos handy. For example, a hard-boiled egg with a handful of baby carrots. The egg gives you protein. The carrots give you fiber and crunch. Or how about a small apple with a tablespoon of peanut butter? Sweet, salty, and keeps you going until dinner. And here's a crowd pleaser, air pop popcorn. 3 cups of this stuff has about 3 grams of fiber. Sprinkle it with a little Parmesan or nutritional yeast, and you've got a snack that's fun, light, and actually does your body good. The key is to keep it simple and keep it close. Stock your fridge or pantry with these easy picks, and you'll never feel stuck. You know, I used to think eating well meant following strict rules or buying fancy superfoods. But the older I get, the more I realize it's about working with what you've got. Maybe you're cooking for one now, or maybe you're on a budget, that's okay. Canned beans are just as good as dried ones in a pinch. Frozen veggies, they're picked at their peak and often have more nutrients than the fresh ones that sat in a truck for a week. Take a peek in here. Canned salmon, great for protein and omega-3s. A bag of frozen spinach, perfect for tossing into omelets or soups. And that big jar of oatmeal, breakfast for days. You don't need a lot of money or time. You just need to know where to look. And hey, if your grandkids turn up their noses at your weird healthy stuff, just wait. One day, they'll be asking you for recipes. So, let's recap. Pair your proteins and fibers. Take it slow if your stomach's sensitive. And keep snacks simple. But we're not done yet. There's one more thing that can make or break your success, and it's probably sitting in your cupboard right now. We've covered a lot together, haven't we? From spotting those protein and fiber gems at the store to turning them into meals that keep you feeling your best. But before we wrap up, let's tackle something we all face from time to time. Those days when cooking feels like too much. Maybe your energy's low, or you're just not in the mood to chop and stir. Believe me, I've been there too. So, Let's talk about keeping it simple, ridiculously simple. Take this banana, slice it up, drizzle it with a spoonful of peanut butter, and boom, you've got fiber from the fruit and protein from the nuts. No recipe, no fuss. Or what about a can of tuna? Mix it with a dollop of Greek yogurt instead of mayo. Throw in some celery for crunch, and you've got a protein-packed salad in 2 minutes. The secret isn't complicated meals. It's smart shortcuts that do the work for you. Now, I want to share a little story. A few years back, my neighbor Margaret told me she'd given up on eating well because it took too much time. So, I asked her to show me her pantry. Turns out, she had a treasure trove of canned beans, frozen veggies, and instant brown rice, perfect for quick meals. We whipped up a stir-fry that night using frozen peppers, canned chickpeas, and a splash of soy sauce. 10 minutes, 1 pan, and she said it was the easiest dinner she'd made in years. The moral? Sometimes we overlook the tools we already have. Keep a few frozen veggies and pre-cooked grains in your freezer. Stock your shelves with canned fish or beans. These aren't cheats. They're smart choices that respect your time and energy. And if you're ever stuck, remember, a scrambled egg with spinach takes less than 5 minutes and covers both protein and fiber. You're not cutting corners, you're cutting stress. Here's one last tip that's easy to forget: water. When you're boosting your fiber intake, water becomes your best friend. Think of fiber like a broom. It needs a little liquid to sweep everything through smoothly. So, keep a glass of water nearby with meals, or sip on herbal tea throughout the day. It doesn't have to be gallons, just enough to stay comfortably hydrated. And if plain water feels boring, jazz it up. Add a slice of lemon, a few cucumber rounds, or even a sprig of mint. My granddaughter taught me that trick. She calls it spa water. Fancy, right? Let's take a breath and remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Maybe you start by adding a handful of spinach to your morning omelet, or swapping white bread for whole grain. Small steps add up. And on days when you're just not feeling it, that's okay. A bowl of cereal with berries is still a win if it's got some fiber and protein in the mix. The big picture here isn't just about food. It's about giving yourself the energy to do what you love, whether that's gardening, traveling, or finally tackling that jigsaw puzzle that's been gathering dust. You deserve to feel strong, steady, and ready for whatever the day brings. So here's my challenge to you. This week, try one of the ideas we've talked about. Maybe it's adding beans to your soup, or keeping a bag of nuts in your purse for hungry moments. Then, come back here and tell me how it went in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. What worked? What surprised you? Even what made you laugh? We're all in this together, learning as we go. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found this helpful, pass it along to a friend who might need a little boost too. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more tips and stories to share. Until next time, remember, every bite is a chance to nourish the amazing person you are. Here's to feeling good, living well, and savoring every moment.